Step forward to Jesus in consecration. God's promise is, "You shall seek me and find me when you search for me with all your heart." The whole heart must be yielded to God, or the change can never be wrought in us by which we are to be restored to His likeness. By nature we are alienated from God. God desires to heal us, to set us free. But since this requires an entire transformation, a renewing of our whole nature, we must yield ourselves wholly to Him. The warfare against self is the greatest battle that was ever fought. The yielding of self, surrendering all to the will of God, requires a struggle. But the soul must submit to God before it can be renewed in holiness. God does not force the will of His creatures. He cannot accept an homage that is not willingly and intelligently given. In giving ourselves to God, we must necessarily give up all that would separate us from Him. Hence the Saviour says, "Whosoever he be of you that forsakes not all that he hath, he cannot be my disciple." Whatever shall draw away the heart from God must be given up. Do you feel that it is too great a sacrifice to yield all to Christ? Ask yourself the question, what has Christ given up for me? The Son of God came and gave all, life and love and suffering, for our redemption. And can it be that we, the unworthy objects of so great love, will withhold our hearts from Him? The inquiry of many a proud heart is, why need I go in penitence and humiliation before I can have the assurance of my acceptance with God? I point you to Christ. He was sinless, and more than this, He was the Prince of Heaven. But in man's behalf He became sin for the race. But what do we give up when we give all? A sin-polluted heart for Jesus to purify, to cleanse by His own blood, and to save by His matchless love? And yet men think it too hard to give up all. We should be ashamed to hear it spoken, ashamed to see it written. God does not require us to give up anything that is for our best interest to retain. Would that all who have not chosen Christ might realize that He has something vastly better to offer them than they are seeking for themselves. Man is doing the greatest injury and injustice to his own soul when he thinks and acts contrary to the will of God. No real joy can be found in the path forbidden by Him, who knows what is best and who plans for the good of His creatures. The path of transgression is the path of misery and destruction. Many are inquiring, how am I to make the surrender of myself to God? You desire to give yourself to Him, but you are weak in moral power, in slavery to doubt, and controlled by the habits of your life. Your promises and resolutions are like ropes of sand. You cannot control your thoughts, your impulses, your affections. What you need to understand is the true force of the will. This is the governing power in the nature of man, the power of decision or of choice. Everything depends on the right action of the will. The power of choice God has given to men. It is theirs to exercise. You cannot change your heart. You cannot give yourself to God its affections. But you can choose to serve Him. Through the right exercise of the will, an entire change may be made in your life. By yielding up your will to Christ, you ally yourself with the power that is above all principalities and powers. You will have strength from above to hold you steadfast, and thus retain constant surrender to God. You will be enabled to live the new life, even the life of faith. God bless you.